Welcome to the Fishbowl Sports here on this lovely Wednesday evening here. I am Chief. I'm doing the show solo tonight. Jalen is going to have the night off here. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in here with us here. It's going to be a very cool episode, I believe, here. So that is something to, kind of like get involved in. I'm going to let y'all kind of pile in here as we do this live stream here on Facebook and also on YouTube as well. That's our two streaming destinations. So if you got anything you want to get on the live chat and start chatting me up here, I do have an affiliate link on Facebook if you want to go to our storefront to buy all the Ragin Cajun gear that we possibly have here and amongst other things here. So I don't know why this thing changed here on me. It was the football thing. Now we're going to take that off of there and just put that up there so everybody can have a nice little view here. So I'm gonna, let's see here. We pull up the everything we got here. We got a good little storefront thing on our Facebook page, like I was talking about there before I had to change that stuff. So on the storefront, you'll find Ragin Cajun football gear, tailgating gear, any kind of memorabilia that you think you might need or have here. So it'll be very nice for y'all to grab some gear. It supports us. Obviously, we make a little bit of commission off of that stuff. So if you do go buy something from our storefront, it will help Fishbowl Sports. And, we might make some goodies for y'all one day once we accumulate enough funds through that storefront there. So that is a little, teeny tiny thing. We got some exciting things planned out for in 2026. So that is something that I'm looking forward to if it materializes that way. That is kind of what I'm looking forward to. But before we get started, I want to thank all y'all for supporting us. Go help our friends out there at Team Whiskey. We have some links that we have on our Instagram page. I'm going to post them on social after I'm done with this episode here. They have great products and stuff too. And, we have a little bit of a contract with them. So we're going to promote them as much as we possibly can. They make good hunting products. They'll keep you warm during the winter time here if we ever get a blizzard down here in South Louisiana again. So that is something that, we need to take care of our friends at Team Whiskey. So they take care of us. We'll take care of them as well. So anyway, with all that being said, let's talk about Ragin Cajun football here. This past weekend ended up being a not so great performance for the Cajuns here. They ended up losing to Troy. Now they're going to stay out there on the road in Alabama to go take on South Alabama. So if you look at the bottom 25 on ESPN here, the Ragin Cajuns and South Alabama are both in the bottom top 25. They are amongst the worst teams in college football, according to ESPN. It hasn't been a great season for the Cajuns. This is not anything. And once again, Dez does the same thing that we've seen him do, putting Walker Howard in the game. I mean, I gave you my points about why we put him in the game. I have no idea why, but maybe they'll jumpstart the offense if he feels like they need it. But if you put him in the game and he made another mistake this week here, I've seen people say the receiver ran the wrong route on that play. But you don't have to throw to the guy if he ain't open. If you looked at the play and you looked at the film, you realized that guy was going to be open. There was a defender sitting right there in the spot of the field where that ball was thrown here. I wish I had video to pull it up and show you exactly what was going on there. But your player gets hurt because of the play right there, because the ball placement was not great. It was a ball that will wreck your world, basically. And that's what was happening there. So yeah, that wasn't a good thing there. I got my reservations about it there, but hey, what can you do? This is it's football, right? So you put yourself in these situations and you wonder why it happens. So nevertheless, what can I say? This happens all the time in college football. Also, another topic I will touch on is so it is a perfect example. I've been seeing it more and more often here. I do think that we do have a problem in college football, just at large, not a Ragin Cajun problem, or the other team that we cover on this podcast and platform. Another problem that our LSU, problem here. I know we've been covering the LSU stuff extensively this week because of, what transpired there at Baton Rouge, Brian Kelly being fired. That's another thing. But that is something that are we at a point where we're not giving coaches 4 years anymore? I think this is a bigger problem in college athletics in regards to the whole thing. But we're going to get to I'm going to go off on a little tangent here a little bit here. Whenever I grew up watching football in the 90s and stuff, we gave coaches 4 years to build up a program, right? They even gave them maybe 5, 6 years to build something up because, it took a while to establish your identity and stuff back then. How you want your offense to be, what kind of defense were you going to run. The game of football has changed so much here, and NIL has really opened the floodgates open up everything here. So I think the days of like having a coach stay 4 years at a program is kind of gone. So I think the sport needs to adapt with it, and it hasn't. So we're still giving out big, giant contracts. So in regards to everything that's going on right now, let's think about this for a second. Why are we giving coaches such big long-term deals, right? If we're going to give them like huge tracts of money, like I'm going to use Dez as an example here. Should he be making $800,000 a year? Maybe so. But the contract length should be a lot shorter, right? If we're going to get rid of coaches as fast, if we're going to go down and make this the norm, right? You have 4 years and that's it. Boom, that's it. Okay, like that's kind of what I normally would expect a college football coach to have anyway, because your first 2 years, you kind of get your identity set up. 3 and 4. Third year should be your breakthrough. Second or third year should be your breakthrough. You got to have a mixture going on with this transfer portal to plug your holes and also coach up. You have to find that balance somewhere. And a lot of coaches are struggling with that here. Like Dez lost a lot of talent last year. It was a very senior heavy class. But to reiterate what has happened the last couple of years is the fact that in Dez's shoes, if we look at what, has happened here, we've been hurt at quarterback for a long time. And I don't think that is that's not a luck issue. That's a strength and conditioning issue. I know injuries happen in the sport of football. Like if this is a one-off year where we had a bunch of injuries, I could be like, all right, look, that's that happens, right? But if you look under Napier and even HUD, and even going back to HUD, our offensive line stayed intact. So I do think it's a strength and conditioning issue at UL, to be honest with you. I'm just going to say, just speak the truth here on the fishbowl because it's in the name, right? It's a glass bowl. You can see everything in the fishbowl. So to speak the truth here, I think it's a strength and conditioning issue when we get down to it. And I know, some people are not going to like to hear that, but you might want to kind of make some calls and maybe get some other people in there that might, because you've had plenty of time, right? Since 2022, 23, 24, 25, like we've never had a starting quarterback be healthy under Dez. We have no idea what it's like to have a starting quarterback healthy under Dez for a full season. It just hasn't happened yet. That is, I think, one of the biggest issues that nobody's talking about. No one is talking about that stuff right now. Once you get down to we've had people say that the players quit. I don't think they ever quit. I just don't think they, stamina-wise, you just get tired during games. I think that's one of it. I don't think the players quit. I think it's like they're not getting the, the conditioning that they need to stay. If you want to be a champion in any sport, you got to give 110, not even 110. You got to give 130, 140%. I know that's a cliche thing to say, but you really have to invest your life into that sport to be. If you want to be a champion, you have to do what it takes here. You can't, you can't expect your body to, be adequate enough if you don't, put in the time and put in the effort to it here. It's it's kind of like, if you have a gas motor and you put diesel in it, it's not going to work right. You got to put the right things into your body to where it's going to be, very nutritional for you or that kind of thing there. I'm not saying that they're doing the wrong thing, nutritional side, but it could affect things. It could affect your durability and your, you got to have reps. You got to be able to stretch, do the proper stretches to make sure you're not cramping up during games or, because look, I'll tell you this, I know NFL players do this, college wide receivers do this. And a lot of people don't really think about this too much. If you're just a casual fan of football and have not watched it or have actually partaken in the sport here, you've heard about this before. There is NFL wide receivers and college wide receivers that will actually take ballerina classes. They'll take ballerina classes because it makes sense. Think about it. There's a lot of, the little toe touches, the little toe spins and stuff, the little dances they do. That helps you as a football player because that's how you're able to see the toe drags and stuff. You know the guys that have been doing it if you're able to see it out there on the field here, but I'm not gonna talk too much about I'm sorry I went off on a tangent a little bit here. I'm gonna rein everything back in for y'all here real quick here. So let's start talking about the Ragin Cajuns entering South Alabama here. So I like I said, I do apologize. Also, just throw that in there since I'm already off the rails. You're gonna have to bear with me here. Basketball does tip off in 5 days officially. Tonight they are playing an exhibition game. So that's we can't really watch the game. There's no streaming thing out there, but I do have I'm gonna have a thing. It's gonna come up in 13 minutes. It's tipping off at 7, but they have a 13-minute timer on the website. So I'm gonna watch these stats here and see what happens here if they pop up live stats. They should have a live stat bumper somewhere in there. That way you're able to see, and I'll be able to see, give you updates of what's going on with that exhibition men's basketball game there too. So that is something else that you can see here. Waiting 13 minutes till they tip off against North Texas here, the men's basketball team, which I think they're going to have a great year. I said this in the preview show before. I think the team's going to win the Sun Belt this year. They have a lot of length on their team. They're very, they can rebound. I'm pretty sure they can rebound. They have a lot of talent on this team. Now, it's all up to Coach Quantas White to put it all together, and I think he's going to do so. Them being picked ninth to finish in the Sun Belt, I think people are underestimating them a good bit here. I know, granted, you have to see it to believe it, but I'm definitely buying in on this team this year. I think that is one thing that you can look at and be like, okay, I think they got something here. And I think the Cajuns are going to be – this is not a homer pick. I've done my homework on it, and they have a lot of talent. They have a 4-star prospect that's coming in as a true freshman. They have a couple of 3 stars and 4 stars. And the Sun Belt is very weak in general when it comes to basketball, just in general. If you look at it from that perspective and what's going on, they are a very weak conference when it comes to basketball. So that is not a crazy take. You ain't got to hand me a bottle of hot sauce for a hot take, I think that is something really good here, which I probably should start doing. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having a little bottle of hot sauce while I'm live on the air. Wouldn't that be kind of fun, guys? Watch me go burn my mouth while I'm live on the air here. Just hot sauce and start chugging it, right? This be a lunatic, like be a couillon, like they say. So anyway, yeah, that is something that we'll have to look at here as we go through that here. So like I said, I think the Cajuns are actually are being slept on this year. I think they're going to be able to, drive the lane. Looks like they got a very good point guard. So I think that's going to be something there. Now, granted, we have to wait to see it here. I will be in the Cajun Dome for a good bit of the year. I do have season tickets to go watch the Ragin Cajun men's basketball team. So I'm excited for it. I think there's going to be a great team here. I'm definitely putting my money where my mouth is this year. So I didn't even go to many games last year. I just watched them, and because it was like, oof. And it really showed what was going on there. So looking at it that way here, let's look through the schedule here coming up here a little bit here. Like they got 11 minutes here, and they're probably going to do like some kind of thing. The season kicks off for educated men's basketball against Ball State November 3rd on the road. You will be able to watch this one, so that is something good here. The home opener will be in Southeastern next Friday, November 7th, so that is something to look forward to. But, women's basketball, they played their exhibition games, and they went 2-0 in their exhibition games, beating Mississippi College and LSUA. I gave y'all my preview of the women's basketball team. I think they're going to end up finishing middle of the road in the Sun Belt. They lose a lot of pieces here. Just trying to figure out where they're going to end up at. It's kind of a good question here. I don't think they have really good size on their team. I think that it's going to be like Bowling Green. I think they'll might end up dropping that game, honestly, with y'all. But I think they'll beat Delta State. I think they'll lose Texas. I know I was flip-flopping between Bowling Green and the preview. I did pick them to beat Bowling Green because it was at home, but now I'm flipping back again. So it's like, but if you watch the episode, you'll probably understand what I'm going with. I will pick this game tonight, though. If you watch the episode next week here, because this episode here is going to be picking the Bowling Green one, because next week we're going to do it Tuesday or Wednesday night. Usually that's typically what I like to try to do, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just because we're going to have a lot of games we got to pick. So we got to make sure we know when your Jalen does have the night off. So if you're just joining us here. So that is something that we're going to have to look at here as we go through all that here. So let's go look at I keep skipping over football, and I apologize here. I'm done with football season. Do not want to talk about football. There's so many issues with the Cajuns here. Injuries is only the apex of it. You got to have, the problem. Let's go look at. I'm gonna go look at the. Let's look at the stat rankings here for both these teams here, because it's just we're gonna go down that hole, and I really don't want to. It's just, you know what? I'm suffering going through this here. So South Alabama is projected to cover a 4.5-point spread. They are on the road here. I mean, it's Cajuns are projected to lose this game here. So I think if you look at this here, I want to see where I want to do a rankings thing. I wanted to pull up both teams' rankings here real quick. That way I can give you some analysis on what. And they always play each other close. If you look, last year they spoiled the Cajuns in Cajun Field. So you know what? This would be a good game for the Cajuns to actually pull off the upset here. So South Alabama is coming off a win against Georgia State. Georgia State's not a great team either. They both are not doing too good here. So their next road game will be against ULM after they play the Cajuns for away game. Then they got Southern Miss and Texas State. But basically the Sun Belt's going to be either Troy or Southern Miss winning this conference on the western side, winning the Sun Belt West here. So that is something that we're going to look at here and just kind of see as we're going along here. So right now, just comparing both these teams here, it's I think that the Cajuns, if you look at offensive stat comparisons here, the Cajuns technically make more points per play. South Alabama runs the ball more than they pass, so Cajuns struggle against the run on defense. They are not very good at stopping the run this year, but South Alabama does run 61.34% of run plays. So that is a matchup problem for the Cajuns. Cajuns pass plays are 44.3%. Completion rate is overwhelmingly in South Alabama. When they do throw it, which they don't throw it very often. They only throw it 38% of the time. It's over 65% completion. So not good there. Third down conversion, they're better than the Cajuns. So red zone scoring, Cajuns got beat though for 84 to 75% there. So that is something that is good there for the Cajuns here. Opponent red zone scoring, Cajuns are better at stopping people in the red zone than South Alabama because they give up 96%. So if the Cajuns can get the ball in the red zone, they're more than likely coming away with points. So that is a good boost for this Cajun offense here. I said this before. This team has not become bowl eligible. The Cajuns got to win out to be bowl eligible, basically, and I just don't see it happening. It had to start against Troy for me to even give an idea to it. But look, they were competitive against James Madison. There was a couple of games they were competitive in, so I don't think it's a crazy idea here. I just don't like the idea of just throwing somebody out there. I feel like that's kind of what they're doing with Walker. They're trying to stick a square peg in a round hole, and it doesn't really work out that way. That's kind of what they've been trying to do. What I think it throws the offense out of whack, and I think it makes everybody kind of press a little bit differently, because as a receiver, you got to adjust the way people throw the ball. Howard's ball is definitely faster than Lunch's. So you're having to adjust in game whenever you're just That's what I mean. Throwing teams out of rhythm or whatever else. Whatever offensive game plan you're trying to run, it's going to mess you up having to adjust to a quarterback mid-game that throws differently, though, too. And it's harder, especially on the road. So why you're trying to complicate things, I don't know. The Cajun, the play calling is very still. I do think Dez needs to give up play calling. I think it's time. I think it's very predictable. I could look at the formation. But, I mean, like, here's the thing, though. I've learned this while I was covering high school football teams for a couple of years. If you shoot enough of their games, you know what play they're going to run next by formation. So if you're a fan of a team, you know what formation they're line up in, of course you're going to know what play they're going to run because you've been watching them all year. So that is like a non-biased perspective to look at. If you watch a team very frequently and they line up in a certain formation, you will eventually figure out like, oh, they're going to run this play or that play. So that one could be a bad take. It could be a bad take if you let your bias get involved in that way. Not saying it's a bad one, but it can be if you let your internal biases get involved in that. But if you're looking at it objectively, and if they're the team watching film, they're probably gonna be like, okay, this left guard's gonna pull on this play, and the Mike's got to make the stop here, and that's probably what they're doing with the Cajuns here. But there is something with the Cajuns that I think they need to do here. I'm gonna pull up I'm going to pull up. Let me look at this here. Pull this up real quick for y'all here. If you look at the football schedule, so to get an idea if the Cajuns can make up bowl eligibility, they're 2-6. Like I said, they're not going to make it bowl eligibility. They're going to lose one of these last couple of games here. South Al, Texas State, Arkansas State. Arkansas State's playing very good. UOM, they're having their best record since 2019. On a Thursday, the Cajuns might catch them sleepwalking in that game. The only two, I could see them beating South Alabama, though. I could see it. Texas State, that's the one I don't want the Cajuns to lose. I'd rather lose to South Alabama than Texas State because I want to have the undefeated record. When they lose the conference and, all their fans saying, oh, the Pac-12 is such a better conference. And, it's a dumb take. Like you're going to be paying more. You're not going to get much benefit out of it. The media contract with it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be more than the Sun Belt. But I think whenever everything goes belly up and all these like new things, like I talked about this extensively in previous episodes about the 2030 conference realignment kind of stuff there. I don't think it's going to really matter too much for Texas State. I think it's going to be it's a sideward step. Might even be one that drops them a little bit lower because you can't predict these things. Their conference isn't going to be that great. So that's kind of something that we're going to have to look at and kind of see what's going on there. So Cajuns lost 35-23 against Troy, lost 22-10 against Southern Miss, 24-14 against James Madison. They were in both these games, okay? And then, they did something right before half that and they did the same thing against Troy, bringing Walker in. Des does something every single week that hurts my brain because you're taking an offense that is in rhythm somewhat, even if they're kind of cold. They're going to eventually get it, probably in the second half, if you just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it as it goes here. So, I know the ones are saying that they want Dez gone, but Dez made the Sun Belt Championship last year. So it's kind of, he made it to a championship game. Granted, like I've said, the Cajuns do have they did get Shelton Sampson back. He did score a touchdown. They were right there with Troy with passing yards and rushing yards. They actually outgained Troy in that game. So penalty yards, the Cajuns didn't do too bad on penalty here, and they were dead even on time of possession. What hurt the Cajuns the most here was these turnovers here. They were leading and they lost the lead right before halftime with 42 seconds to go. The pick six happened, the 14-14, that changed the game right there. That was the momentum shift right there that ruined everything. Troy got up 21-14, 21-17. Cajuns came back. Troy 28-17. And then Tony Sterner kicked the field goal, 28-20. Cajuns were in it in the fourth quarter. Then another field goal. Like right there, watching that part there, I think the Cajuns should have actually just tried to go for You have to go for it on fourth down there. I think that you're at a point of game, 7 minutes there. If you're down 28-20, if you don't get it, you're going to be putting them around your 45-yard line or whatever. Just hope your defense makes a stop. Which, granted, they didn't get a stop on that next down there. I know you're trying to get 23-28, but you're only one possession. You were going to lose by 2 possessions anyway. So if you go for it in that situation and you end up getting it, it doesn't matter if it's 4th and 30. I would have went for it because at that point in the game, it's a one possession game. I don't think your defense looks like they've been on the. You hope they get a stop. You just got to put them in that situation, and they can respect you. Your offense can respect you if you go for it, I believe. But Lunch didn't have a great game. He had 1 touchdown pass, 2 interceptions. He's basically learning on the job. Walker, went in there through a pick. So Cajuns had 3 turnovers. And turnovers make you lose the game every single time. That is something that they're gonna have to work on against. I don't think they're gonna have as bad of a performance, but they don't play as well on the road as they do at home, which is a problem, needless to say there. So if we're looking at let's look at matchup stats here. Let's look here. So both these teams here, looking at this here, if you're on I won't be able to do this on Facebook too much. Well, not really at all. Let me go pull the screen up so y'all both can look at what I'm looking at here. So y'all can look at this comparison view as we look at this here. Let me go back on Restream. If you're on our YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in here to the show here. Let's go pull this up here real quick. Let's share. Let's look at this here. All right, everybody's looking at this here. Here's what we got comparison value-wise here. Points per game. Ignore the ULL thing. That's some sites need to be updated more than other ones here. So let's see. Cajuns are 95th ranked in points. Alabama's 100th in the ranking here. Yards per game. They swapped them on the other side. Interesting. I wonder if this is offense or defense. I can't tell. Okay, I guess it combines both of them. It's kind of weird overall. Well, anyway. So, look, like I said, Alabama majority of the time runs the ball. Cajuns run the ball more. This is the defense. Yeah, this is the defensive side. Okay, I get it now. This is offense and defense. All right. Offense, they're at 95th. Defense, give them 30 points, 100. So, Cajuns do get the advantage right here. Yards per game given up, not really good for the Cajuns here. South Alabama got a little bit better defense here. So that's why if, like the third down conversion thing, this Cajun offense has to get this number a lot better. You want to be around that 45% mark, 45, 50%, because every time you can get in those kind of situations, you're probably going to win the ball game. And fourth down conversion, they're one of the worst in the country at converting fourth down. But luckily for the Cajuns, South Alabama is I think there's 136. Actually, I think there is 136 teams. I think they're the worst team in FBS at giving a fourth down conversion. So, hey, analytics say I would probably go for it on them on fourth down here. It looked like a really good chance for you to get 82% given up. Looking very good for you, especially with the Sun Belt being as wide open as it is this year, being a very weak football conference this year. So that's the way it goes. So red zone scoring here, like I talked about earlier, they're giving up 96% right here, and Cajuns 84% right here. So the Cajuns are winning this category. These are the 2 categories that the Cajuns need to look at here. Right there, I highlighted them for you. That's going to be what they got to do here. For sure. That's going to be the one here. The one they're going to have the most trouble with is going to be this one, unfortunately. Third down. Third down is going to be the big key to this ball game between Louisiana and South Alabama. You heard it here first on the Fishbowl. That is the key to the game. If the Cajuns can convert on third down, I think they'll beat South Alabama, and I think it's going to be a very imperative that they do so, because if they don't do it there, they're going to be in a big trouble here whenever they get down into that situation there, because that's going to be something that everybody's going to look at here. If you look at the third down conversion percentage of these teams here, with South Alabama having, only giving up 39.39% on third down, it's not going to look too good here. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you got to step up to the plate and do something there. So, like the rush rate things here. Look, offensively, they run the ball 61% of the times. Alabama right here. Cajuns, their opponents run the most on them because they're not a great run defense. Look at the rankings: 108th, 136, 132. So the Cajuns. So yeah, like people run the ball the most on them. Now, granted, and they give up almost the most yards and rushing. So very poor run defense. I think Cajuns need to go man to man. I think they need a blitz. I think that's exactly what it is. But the problem with the Cajuns blitzing that I see a lot in the games is over pursuit. Whether it's the edges or the linebackers, somebody's taking terrible angles and they're not lining up to tackle anybody properly. Granted, if you can just hit somebody, you'll probably have somebody in the right spot if you're taking a good angle on somebody. You probably have somebody backing you up, especially if it's a corner going against a running back. You probably have somebody backing you up. But the problem with the Cajuns is they take terrible angles. Not every single one of them, just select players. Like players are just out there. They're trying to get the motion and trying to figure out what's going on out there at times, and trying to figure out what the opponent's going to do here. It's all about angles. It's a straight up geometry test when you play football on defense, because like your shortest distance between you and the runner is probably the most effective way because they don't have enough time to make a move on you. Terrible angles on them or whatever. So you don't ever want to be, flat-footed. If you get caught flat-footed on defense, which the Cajuns happen to get caught flat-footed sometimes, and you don't want to get caught flat-footed. You want to keep them feet moving because the moment you get them feet flat-footed, that's it. You lost it. That's game right there. So looking at the passing attack between both these teams here, Cajuns, they're 100. They pass 44% of the time here. There is something else I want to bring up, though, too. Let me go look back at last game because I like looking at the last game because they can tell you a good bit of stuff here. But this has been a trend I've been seeing all season. And it's been, I don't like it. I don't like this trend. Let's go bring up the box score here. I'll share y'all this tab once I get it pulled up here because it's a PDF and it's going to take me a while to just run through this stuff here. So y'all have to forgive me as I pull this stuff up. I'm a one-man wrecking crew here. This is crazy. Watch. I'm going to share this tab instead here. Let me make sure that y'all can see what I'm looking at here. All right. You see the rushing category, right? You see Lunch Winfield, Alan Perry, Bill Davis, Stephen Blanco. This is not what I like to see. I don't want my quarterback carrying the ball 23 times a game. Some of these carries, some of them are designed quarterback runs. They should be distributed between these three guys, Alan Perry, Bill Davis, and Stephen Blanco. They're more likely the ones to break a tackle and get upfield here. Look, and also I'm going to bring back in Walker Howard because I think this could be something that would make teams think a little bit. If you want to put Walker in the game, there is a special circumstance that I think would actually work very well for the Cajuns here. And this requires a little bit of thought process. It's very common sense, but it might actually work out very well. We know Lunch is very good at running the ball. I mean, look, he has 6 yards of carry, and I can understand why they're giving him 23 carries, but I don't want my quarterback running the ball 23 times. For some of these plays, let's bring Walker in. Okay, hear me out before y'all get put your pitchforks down. Put the pitchforks down. Bring in Walker. Put Lunch at running back. Okay. Now you have 2 guys that can throw the football. And you got one that can actually run very well. There could be a formation or a package or a couple of guys. Maybe you have some tight ends in there. Maybe 2 set tight ends, 2 wide outs on the side, each side there. 2 tight ends on each side of the line and let them go for it. You can run it you can give it to Lunch. You can or if you want to do a wishbone, I wouldn't mind putting Lunch in a wishbone formation with put Perry on one side and Lunch on the other side. You're going to have to figure out which way they want to run it here. So, look, you can have Walker, do an option, right? Do the option to the right side of the line or something. Have him pitch it to Lunch and let Lunch just fling that thing to one of the receivers. It'd be an actual option, like an option pass play. That is something I think would be a very, unexpected thing to go look at because you have 2 quarterbacks in your backfield, and they both could, Walker can run too. I'm not saying that he can't run it. Maybe get some design quarterback runs with Walker. Maybe get, that is a formation Or like, like if you wanted to put him in the game, like I don't know why they didn't think about that sooner. They've been watching practice for the whole entire like season. But look, you want to catch the defense off guard as much as possible. That is a way to catch them off guard because they're going to try to figure out like, okay, what they're going to do here, especially here. Like the plays can't take too long to develop because you got to try to get it quick here. Make it do a read option, play here. Like, look, man, like if you're going to do like a read option, let Perry and maybe let him pitch it to lunch or something. Do something crazy, like where they're not going to expect it at all here because, you can maybe do one thing Napier did when he was at Louisiana compared to Dez, there was a lot of motion. A lot of receivers running back and forth, running backs running out the backfield and getting to the slot or something. We don't really see that much with Dez. We really don't. But like it moves the defense and maybe we can get someone else open here. There's a lot of different ways they can go about doing this, but that is something that we're going to have to look forward to. And this kind of like hopefully they kind of look at this and be like, okay, I understand what's going on. I want to see this happen and work out better for them. So that is something to look at here. Look at Troy's side. They had a 100-yard rusher on that day there. He was gaining 5.4 yards a carry, but Lunch should never have this much carries. That's a recipe to get your quarterback hurt. That's all I'm saying. Like he took 4 sacks on the day. It was not a good performance for Lunch at all though. Like I mean, he ran the ball, he got yards, but them turnovers certainly hurt your team more than, and that is something that it happens, right? So the Cajuns did get an interception. I mean, honestly, Troy dominated time of possession in the first quarter. They had the ball for 11 minutes. That always kind of like Cajuns did start kind of closing in time of possession between second and third. Wasn't much down this way. If you're looking at it here on your screen here, kind of on. I know if you can't see it on Facebook, but looking at it here, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, Cajuns the ball for 3 minutes in the first quarter. Second quarter, 8 minutes. Third quarter, 8 minutes. Fourth quarter, 9 minutes. They almost had it for over 9:30 in the fourth, but third down conversion 7-15. Troy went 9-13. That third down conversion rate has to be the one they kind of get in there and seeing what happens there. So that is something that once we start picking the games here, we're gonna stop going. Get me back on camera here. Unfortunately, right? You get get me back on camera here. So looking ahead here, I'm gonna pick some Sun Belt games and just see what's gonna happen here. I do want to bring up the Sun Belt standings because that is something that we need to keep track of just to kind of let everybody have their give everybody kind of proper know what's going on with the Sun Belt Conference before we get into these games here. James Madison is currently leading the way in the East 5-0 there, ahead of Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is 3-1. Marshall is 2-1. Old Dominion is 2-2. App State's 1-3. Georgia Southern 1-3, and Georgia State 0-4. In the East side, the East Division, Southern Miss and Troy are tied 4-0 in conference play. Arkansas State 3-1, but then there's a big gap between those three. You got ULM, Louisiana, South Alabama, and Texas State. Texas State has not won a Sun Belt Conference game, which they were heavily favored to win the Sun Belt West this year. Not Sun Belt West, my bad. The Cajuns were projected to win the Sun Belt West. Texas State wasn't that far behind them. But there was a lot of talk of Texas State possibly winning the West this year. And they lost their last 4 games. They were literally 3-1 entering the conference, and now they're 3-5. It's funny how all that stuff works, right? It's funny how all that stuff works. Cajuns, they dropped their last 3. I do think the Cajuns can finish the year 4-8. I kind of have them somewhere penciled around there too much here. 4-8, 3-9 is what I think the Cajuns end up at here. And I don't think you can use the injury excuse too much because we've seen it the last 3 years under Dez. A lot of injuries. Like I said before in this episode, I do think there is a strength and conditioning problem at UL. I think that is a bigger issue than what no one's really talking about that too much. So because something's got to change with the training staff somewhere, because that's not a normal thing to have that many injuries happen. Maybe in a fluke year, but we've been having we've had Like, look, Zion Chris a couple of years ago, third string quarterback, starting. Also, I looked at talent evaluation too. I think that's another big issue at UL. But we'll see what happens there. That's like it's there. It's out there in the open. If that your third string quarterback is your best option, and you put two guys in front of him on the depth chart, it don't look too good. It would have been better for you for them to have been healthy the whole entire year, and we would have never known it at all. But I've said this before: practice doesn't always mean they're going to be a good player in the game. When the lights get on, who's going to step up to the plate? That is part of the reason. That's part of it. Oh, man. All right. So let me go pick some Sunbelt games for y'all here. Let me go pull up CBS college football. I know they had a Sunbelt game play last night. James Madison ended up winning that game over Texas State. Congratulations to them on the victory. Let me see. Is it schedule or scores? Let's go with scores here. Also, let me go look at men's basketball. I want to see if they have the little stat thing up yet. Okay, they are underway. Let me see if they have any stats coming on here. Ooh, wait, they have a video here. What's this? Let me go look at this video. Oh, it's ESPN. Oh, it's on ESPN Plus. Wait, no, never mind. I lie. Wait, what? Let's see. I have the ESPN Unlimited stuff, so this is Ball State. Why is that linked to Ball State? Oh, because they have it versus Ball State. Okay. I got excited. Okay, the clock thing switched on me. So they have nothing from the North Texas thing? Like, really? I wonder if they got on their website. Let's see. Wow, look at this stuff here. I thought they were going to have like some kind of like stats or something there. That's kind of lame. That really is lame. What's this? Let me look what this is. That's a watch. Oh, that's an all access thing. Oh man, there's no like I like to have some audio. Maybe they might have it on radio or something, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna have any. We're not gonna have any ability to listen in or anything like that here. Kind of sucks, but that's the way it is here. Anyway, let's close this. Otherwise, let's go pick some Sunbelt games here. Yeah, they do have some football games on right now. Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee are playing right now on ESPN2. FIU, Missouri State are playing as well on CBS Sports Network. So there's that there. I wonder, let's go look at Sunbelt for this week. So on Thursday, we got Marshall taking on Coastal here. I think Coastal is going to win that game. Marshall has been playing a little bit better. They got up to 4-3, 6.5 point dogs is Coastal in this one, but they're playing at home. I think that 6.5 is going to be. I think Coastal is going to pull the upset here, according to the thing here. So give me Coastal to beat Marshall. That's my upset for the week. There. So Old Dominion taking on ULM. I don't think ULM is going to beat Old Dominion. I think Old Dominion is going to go into Malone Stadium. James L. Malone Stadium to be more proper and beat ULM. I think Old Dominion is going to be a little bit better. They got a good defense. I mean, they got beat by James Madison last week, so that's part of that there. Louisiana taking on South Alabama. These are two teams that are toward the bottom in the rankings list on the ESPN, like I mentioned before. The big thing in that game is if the Cajuns can stop the run on defense, I think they'll win. If they can't stop the run, they're going to lose this game. Now, what do I think is going to happen is also another thing that's going to help the Cajuns if the offense can stay on the field, period. Whether it's getting by running or by passing here, they got to find a way to move the sticks and stay on third down conversions. That's another big key in this game here. I do think that is part of what's going to happen. And South Alabama's got a better defense than the Cajuns' defense, and I think that's going to pay a dividend. I think South Alabama is going to beat the Cajuns, and I think the Cajuns will, for the first time since 2017, will not be going to a bowl game this year. I got the Cajuns losing to South Alabama. I know, I'm sorry. I think they're going to be 2-7, and I just don't see it happening that kind of way. I'm sorry, Cajun Nation. I'm a Cajun fan myself, as you can see in all my decor I got behind me here and stuff, but I just don't see it, guys. I had high hopes, but in this preseason, I predicted this team to go 8-4. They had a lot of people that I've seen go 10-2, 11-1. Some people said undefeated, and I was like, we have things that we got to kind of look at here. I looked at the problems that we had. I was unsure about receiver, and that was part of that kind of was a problem this year. But I even oversold them, which is crazy to me. I like how bad these injuries have impacted the Cajuns this year. But you got to figure it out. It doesn't matter injuries or not. Next man up mentality you got to have. So Arkansas State taking on Troy. I think Troy. I don't know. I could see Arkansas State beating Troy, but I'm gonna go with the home team. I think I've been picking home teams a lot on this run here, except Old Dominion. But I'm gonna go with Butch Jones is doing something over there. Is building something at Arkansas State. I'm gonna go with Troy. I think Troy's gonna win that game. But that one, I'm about like a 2 out of 10 overall confidence of this one. Not feeling very good about it. I do think it's gonna be kind of an interesting one to kind of look at and see. But I tell you what, like it's one of those things that you can just kind of look at and see what's going on there. So that is something we're looking at here. So I think that's going to be everything that we are going to talk about here on this episode here. Thank you for tuning in to Fishbowl Sports. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. We're going to see you here next time here on the Fishbowl Sports Radio. Hope to see y'all again next time. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We're going to be constantly posting up updates for UL and LSU. We're going to have some more content coming in pretty soon here with, go look at the basketball games pretty soon. A good bit. Going to be glad to be back in the Cajun Dome. That I'm more interested in the basketball season now as a Cajuns fan compared to football. I think for like both teams that we cover here. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. We'll see you here next time. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.